Good morning and welcome on this beautiful Thursday. Welcome to our third day of budget hearings, and we'll kick off today's schedule with our Department of Transportation, led by Director Brian Kelly.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everyone doing? Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, Chair. So today I'd like to run through the transportation 5-year CIP plan. Be real quick because I know you guys might have some questions. So if it's okay, I'd like to go ahead and get started. So this is our vision statement, and we aim to create a vibrant, growing community where a high quality of life is supported by a robust commercial growth and educated workforce. So the mission for us is to provide a range of public services to the citizens, visitors of Rockdale County in a proactive, focused, and team-oriented way. And then values, our values are dependability, reliability, responsibility, courteous and efficient customer service, innovative and forward-thinking problem solving. So, challenges. This year we've had some success, so we'll start there. Biggest one that I can think of is Courtesy Parkway, big one that's been in the works. We're active with that one now, about 6 months into that project. SPLOS 5A is a full depth reclamation. We have several roads on that list. That one is almost done. We're on Bethel and looking at how we can do the whole of Bethel Road east. We've already finished the east of State Route 20, and there's some portions on west of State Route 20. We're looking at that. If that's doable, if the math works, we'll go that route if possible under that 5A contract. SPLOS C, rehabilitation roads, that one has already been submitted, and we are in the process of awarding a vendor and getting the contract set up. So that one is coming. That's going to be your next one that you'll see boots on the ground for SPLOS C. 5B also is in a hopper, so we'll get to that one in a minute. So next you have the LMIG resurfacing projects. That one is focusing on, there's one main road, Ebenezer, and then the other ones are subdivisions. So we have that one also that just got released as well. We have a vendor for that, so that is also, we're getting contracts together, and those, you'll see those both 5C and that subdivision list at the same time.
Do you have those roads and names today with you?
Yes.
Okay.
So let me provide that to you. 1 second. So the subdivisions: Magnet Road from Kinnett to Brown Bridge, Hammond Road from East Fairview to Union Church, Plantation Boulevard from Crowell to Oglesby Bridge, Samsung Road from East Fairview to, there's a cul-de-sac there at the end, Ebenezer from Stanton to Honey Creek. Then we drop to Castle Point Court, Klondike so that one goes from Klondike Road, there's a cul-de-sac at the end, Kenmore Industrial Parkway, Lake Rockaway to the cul-de-sac, Jesse Court, Rockaway cul-de-sac as well, Weeping Way from Stockbridge Highway all the way to the end of that one, Willow Bend Drive from Weeping Willow to the end, Garland Way, that's part of Bridle Creek subdivision, Garland Way from Flat Shoals to Bridle Creek Drive from Flat Shoals to the end of that road. Then in the Nob Hill subdivision, Kinslow Ridge, that one will be fully resurfaced. Downing Park is also going to be touched and resurfaced. Kings Row, in the Kings Row subdivision, Kings Row will be done. Grandiose Court from Kings Row to the end of that one. Ellington Road from Jenna Way, and that's going to run about 450 feet just to the west of Salem Road. And then McCullough Road from Old Salem Road to Avalon Parkway. So that's the subdivision roads. And then, did you want the 5C as well?
If you would.
All
That
right,
would be great.
1 second. So for the Splosh roads, that is Black Shoals Road, northeast, Black Lawn Road, southwest, Farmer Road. There's 3 segments. We're doing all 3 segments of that road, so the full length of that one will be completed. McCart Road, from Old Covington till that one ends. Zingara, there's 2 segments of Zingara. We're doing both of those. Rockdale Industrial Drive, Plunkett, and Sigmund Industrial Court, northwest. So that one will be done as well.
Okay. And the time frame for those would be what?
Those have 10 months, so around 300 to 5 days.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
And then, of course, let's see. Sigmund Road Phase 3A and 3B, widening project. That is in design now. We have just gotten our environmental documents, so we're working on transitioning to that next phase of right-of-way procurement. So we're coordinating with GDOT on that, so we can begin to purchase right-of-way. That's a big deal. Phase 4, we're also doing the same thing. The concept report for that project has been reviewed, and we're waiting on details back from GDOT if they're on board with the whole concept. If they are, we'll proceed to full design. The good part about that one particularly is we've already done most of that design already. The last piece that we'd have to do for GDOT would be that environmental portion to make sure we button everything up if they accept the layout that we've provided them. So we're hoping that we have good news there. And then we are working on something new. This is a hot in place recycling project for microsurfacing. That's the list is we're working on that one. That's a little bit new variation on existing technology. That one will be a big deal because we have some roads that we can salvage and still get a 10 to 15 year life out of. That project is going to be very interesting for us, so I'm very anxious about that one. That'll be a good one for us to work on. Opportunities. 5B would be, Splosh 5B would be a good one for as far as opportunities. We're looking to make sure all of our roads are taken care of, and so 5B, that list is Black Lawn Road from Iris Drive to Klondike. Good Road and Honey Creek have been removed temporarily. There are some extenuating circumstances. We're going to look at doing a supplemental group with Good, Honey Creek, Pleasant Hill, and Miller Bottom. We're going to look at doing, because those, the subgrade under there has some issues that we're concerned about. So these other ones are not in the same condition. Those 4 will need a little bit extra work. So we decided to pull those out and try to come up with a better, more scientific way to help those last longer once we resurface them. Okay. So we're working on that, and those details are still in the works. Hirsch Road will be resurfaced as part of Splosh 5B. Klondike Road from Ruth Lane to the cab line. McDaniel Mill, there's 2 sections of that. Both sections will be done, and that will be resurfaced. Smyrna Road has 3 segments. All 3 will be resurfaced. Troop Smith also has 3 segments of that road. Those will all be done. And then Tucker Mill, that one has 2 segments, and those will also be done. So you're going to get fresh new surface. We'll take that asphalt off. Any minor subgrade, we'll have to fix those. But the other 4, those had more significant. It's different than having a 50 or 100 feet versus having a couple thousand feet to repair. So changes things. Okay. So that's what we have for our list for the Splosh. Next thing for opportunities, we do have the recommendations for the Safe Streets for All project. We just completed, and you guys helped me accept the action plan. So now we're looking at implementation. We have started on some short-term fixes, easy, low-hanging fruit, lights, signal, some striping. We've started working on that. There are some long-term projects that we do need. They're going to need some engineering. There's some roundabouts, for example, some redesigns of intersections, total redesigns. It's going to take a little bit more engineering. So this is a long-term project, but we're going to coordinate with the city of Conyers on that, and we are going to get ready to look at the next phase and go for the implementation grant for that second part, because there's a second grant you can go for as that one as well. Then we have the 2026 LBIG rehabilitation. That 2026 rehabilitation will focus on subdivision roads. We are finalizing the list right now, so that one is still in the works, but that's a major opportunity to get some of these subdivisions done that have PCI ratings that are below 50. We want to try and knock out as many of those as we can, so we're looking at ways to stretch those dollars as much as possible. And then, of course, the hot in place, that one is here again because we're looking at using that technology in other places. So that one's going to be a big deal. If we can leverage that technology and use it for other places, it'll be a big thing for us. And lastly, the comprehensive transportation plan. We have targeted some roads. Right now, we're looking at Honey Creek from 212 to 162 as an option. And then, of course, Flat Shoals is the other option. We're still researching that, and you'll see some surveys to go out for public input. We need to understand what the public sees, so when we plan this future, how are we doing it? Are we doing it roundabouts and needs? Are we doing intersections? Where's the growth coming from? Those new developments? Is it industry? Because that changes how we do the roads, if it's going to be trucks. So lots to go into this comprehensive transportation plan. And then some of the sub-projects on that, we're looking at the Farmer Road Connector is one that we want to go ahead and get in. We do have some funds, I think, available, so we'll look at that. And then Miller Bottom was one of the ones that we're going to have a whole new project for those 4 roads. So challenges, funding is always a challenge. That's just the roads getting more expensive, utilities more expensive, right-of-ways more expensive. So no matter even if you seem like you have funds there, it's with those roads, they get real expensive real quick when you run into problems. So that's just kind of a standard. Transportation projects that we're looking at, Flat Shoals Road, that paving upgrades, and then just continually getting those. We have around 530 miles of road total. Catching all of them is really challenging because we have many roads that are under that 50 pavement condition index, and we can't always spread it to everyone at the same time. So that's always a challenge, trying to figure out how to get those roads and get as many as possible. So, and then of course we have some retirements coming up, so that is a challenge for some of our in-house services. But we have a strategy coordinating with Director Holmes and trying to fill those gaps. And then training, we want to train our guys with the newest technology. So that's something, as they have new stuff come out for surveying, LiDAR, Bluetooth, for equipment, we want to make sure we can leverage that as much as possible. So that's a big deal. Goals and initiatives. This one, for goals and initiatives, we're looking to focus on fully access routes that flow. We want the traffic here to not clog up, so congestion is our enemy. But we want to get into more ADA compliance with our public right of way for those routes that we have for walking, sidewalks. That's another thing that we want to look into, is how do we improve the ADA compliance as a whole for the citizens. So that will lead us into this SS4A is a good one for federal transportation projects that we look to, and implementing those. For a prime example would be sidewalks, for example. And then for equity, the comprehensive transportation plan will provide us a view into that for the future. And so as we plan, we want to make sure that plan there is set up to service all of our citizens. And then for innovation, that's another way that we're trying to leverage the recycling technologies, microsurfacing, to make those roads. Typically, they're supposed to last 15 to 20 years. Some of them, they've been going out at 7 to 10. We want to stretch that out. So for our budget for the year, you can see 2025, we had 2.6 for operating expenses. We have a little bit of an increase here to 2.853. That change is largely for essentially landscaping around the county. That's something I know that with our SPLOS committee, they want to look at making sure that Rockdale is beautiful. So we're talking about avenues to potentially look at landscaping for the exits off I-20, and then other opportunities to do that around the city. Mr. Staples has been excellent. He's been interested in that. So that's one thing that as we can get information and get the funding for that, that's going to be something that we also do on the backside of these projects. So that's something we're
What
looking
does
at in the future.
GDOT provide for
They
the
typically focus
aesthetics?
on the intersection, the exits. So they do have the wildflower program. That's really where they put the bulk of their interest in the wildflowers, because they want to keep everything flowing. They don't want to have any distractions or line of sight issues with trees. So they stay away from trees a lot. They do lean more towards flowers that come back every year, wildflowers that you can maintain, shrubs that limit their height, so
Okay.
they don't get into the car. You can.
So do we have any plans to access their wildflower program?
So right now we have looked at some intersection segment at I-20 is one example. We have some mock-ups that we've done. So we're going to chase that with that. And we're going to see what's our avenues that we can do. And Mr. Staples has been very open to helping me with that, as far as you have to always do the match. So that is something that we're going to look at in 2026, that yes, I do believe we'll have some
'Cause
opportunities.
That has been interesting to me for several years before you were director.
Well, I think we'll have some opportunities to make this happen. We've been
so.
very successful with making sure that we have matching funds, and GDOT's been very open to coordinate with us. Hence Salem, the redesign there, and I-20 at 138. So we want to keep that relationship going with GDOT. So then personnel, 2025 we were 1.955, and then proposed, it's a little bit of a bump here. To 2.527. Operating budget continued. We do have a little bit of a drop here. We're trying to trying to accommodate and work with less. So we're trying to shrink a little bit and still get the best bang for our buck. So everything's about efficiency. So that's where we are here, and that's what's reflected here in this slide. For our admin, we can still try and get the same amount of work, same bang for our buck with those changes. Even with the change, the biggest change for our department is fully absorbing everything that the community improvement team had. That's our biggest change for as far as operating. So transportation, the largest factor. These are pretty standard. Professional services is a big deal for us here. Having that engineering expertise here, I can oversee that, but sometimes bridge, for example, that's something that we need to make sure we have available for us for bridges. I have a couple of them coming up this year that it's time to look at. Do we replace fully, or do we try to extend the life? We do have to have experts for stuff like that. So having those engineering services to support is paramount. Other maintenance, we do have some issues with equipment aging, and I think that's countywide. I think there's aging on some of our equipment all the way around, so it's not anything new. But that's what that line side equipment, chippers, rotary equipment, stuff like that. It's just, over time, you can only repair so much. Community improvement, we've absorbed them as well. They're doing a great job for us on the litter and debris. They are also have questions. So some of the team members are looking. They would love to get into some of the landscaping aspects too. So there's potential. Once we can find the funding and get that going, there's potential there. So we want to make sure we foster that. And if we coordinate with GDOT properly, we'll make sure we have opportunities in the future where we can actually expand. So that will be excellent.
So that $500,000 for this community improvement team, that's coming out of another department into
Correct.
your department, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That was code originally.
Right.
That was what?
That was code enforcement.
I see. Okay.
So, then paved streets. This one we're doing a lot of subbing out on this one, but What I'm learning is some of the issues we have on examples like Miller Bottom. Patching is not going to work. The base is bad. So we're looking at how can we pivot and get some of these work done outside, because we don't have the ability to fully replacing roads with the FDR is very expensive, and trying to get that base correct and have it extend properly, and you're doing that for 530 or 40 miles. Not fiscally efficient at all. So we have to find new options. So that's what that is. Traffic engineering, striping. There are some upgrades. This one is really covered by our Safe Streets for All. We are doing some of that in-house, but the lighting is a big thing. We're looking to coordinate based off the recommendations from the Safe Streets for All with our partners for Georgia Power, Snapping Shoals, to get road street lights that really can illuminate the road for us. That's a big deal as well. Unpaved streets, still we have a lot, several unpaved streets that we still deal with. They are not gone by any means. We still address those, and that's roughly $40,000 that we deal with those on. And then streets and highways, some of those we have disposal fees, and there's some training of the staff that we do for that. So that's what that information is there. Vacancies, we do have a couple, but we're not changing anything. So we're not adding any new ones right now. It's kind of keeping everything status quo. So actual roles that we have, there's nothing new coming out. So 2026, we're going to hold that constant. We're going to hold everything that we got. The roles that we already have is what we'll keep for now. And so personnel, this is no new employees. These are all reclasses, people that we already have in-house. So that would be, if there's the roles, if we might shift somebody from storm or water over here, but it's already staff that you have in-house within our agency. So this is going to be nothing new and no new personnel for this current cycle. And so that's where you see we have 5 maintenance 3 workers. Those guys will be doing a little bit extra work, and that's why we're looking for assistance with those guys. That's still a reclass. Concrete, we want to get into some of our repairs for sidewalks for subdivisions. That would be something where we would have that worker, guys that have expertise in that, help us with some of those sidewalk issues we're dealing with. Paving, standard. That's just, the rest of those supervisors are balancing out what those supervisors across the board for all the departments, and that's where that came from. And this is simply an explanation of that. Trying to eliminate the variance between one department and another, and make sure all the ranks are balanced, so we're matching other departments. This is not anything new, stuff that we already have on the books. So just mainly using our staff more efficiently and making sure we match the other departments.
So are we saying that these FTEs, are they going to see a reduction in their salary?
No, they would be getting a slight bump to match what the others are.
Okay.
And so for our 5-year improvement plan, this is what we're looking at as far as equipment. We do have some equipment we're looking to surplus, some that's aged. And then as that is aged out, when we're able to get new, we would love to, but right now we're trying to hold on and extend what we have. We don't want to get new stuff unless we're forced. So that's just taking care of the equipment we have, maintaining it, keeping it clean, keeping it well oiled, lubricated, and using the parts that we have. So that's where we're at. Technology-wise, we did find a option. Stormwater has a software that they're using. Well, we learned that they have a couple components that we can leverage as well for our assets, for the PCI, Pavement Condition Index. That's a big deal for us because we have to do that every 3 or 4 years. And so getting rid of the old software that we were using, which was a little bit higher, and going to theirs, we got find a savings. And so we'll probably work on piggybacking off their account and just adding our fees onto that, and that would save us a little money versus us having our own software. And theirs now does the same thing. It's just a great win-win for us. And we thank Director Simpkins and his team for, showing us that option. So that's a good thing. Construction equipment, we do have a couple pieces of equipment that we are looking to get that will help us for doing our paving, maintaining, patching. There's some new technology for patching, for example, that lasts longer, integrates better, doesn't pop out as quick. Stuff like that is what we would be looking at, trying to make sure we have the best bang for our buck with that equipment. Of course, we want to reflect CIT for what we're doing with them as well. So that's now added. That was not last year, but it is now. And then the last one is all of the projects that we have going on. We have several big projects that we have going on, of course. And I think as we approach the summit, you guys will be a part of that with me. You'll see the ins and outs of those major projects. We can't dive into all of them, but definitely the big ones with GDOT, I definitely want you guys to be involved and understand what's going on, the utility side, any issues we're having, so you guys are in the know. So with that, I definitely thank you. Do you have any questions for me at this time?
I don't.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, if there are any questions, then the next presenter is Judge Washington with probate court. Yes, it's just down, that's correct.
All right, we are ready. Good morning, Judge Washington. Good morning.
Good morning, members of the commission. My name is Gary Washington, and since about 2020, I've been the chief judge of Rockdale County Probate Court. Joining me this morning is Miss Jamie White, who is the judicial assistant for the probate court, and in that capacity, she addresses many of our financial matters, and she'll be speaking to those this morning. A word about the duties and responsibilities of the probate court. We are responsible for administering wills and estates. We appoint and oversee guardians and conservators for both for incapacitated adults and for minors. We issue orders to apprehend for individuals to believe to be in need of an emergency evaluation. We issue marriage and weapons carry licenses. We oversee or we keep vital
Are
records.
those connected?
I'm sorry.
That just sounded funny.
Separate and apart from, well, there's marriage, period. Weapons, period. Birth and death records. And we do handle many other miscellaneous functions, about 31 miscellaneous functions. And also as a result, I think of 2022, we have expanded to become an Article 6 court as a result of Rockdale County surpassing the 90,000 population. And as a result of that, our areas of responsibility have expanded to overlap with some of those areas in the Superior Court. So we share jurisdiction. Let's see. A word about our missions, vision, and values. Those can be encapsulated in basically 3 goals that we have. First goal is to provide accessible and convenient information regarding the probate court and its services. Second, we want to provide timely and accurate resolution of probate court matters. And third, we strive to be efficient, that is to say, to make the most of the resources and personnel that we currently had. Let's talk now about opportunities and challenges. Over the past year, we've had many opportunities, many successes, many of which are not listed today, but some that I want to add to the presentation. We've instituted online ordering for birth certificates, death certificates, and marriage certificates. They can now be accessed online, whether you're in Rockdale County, whether you're anywhere in the United States or internationally, as long as you have access to internet. I should point out a caveat that with regards to marriage certificates, they can only be accessed if you were married in Rockdale County, and with regard to birth and death certificates, it's only if you were either born or died within the state of Georgia. But with those caveats, now they can be accessed anywhere, from anywhere. So that's a big achievement. Jamie?
Yes, so we successfully reconfigured our court management system, and by doing so, we completed an update that was mandated by Georgia Senate Bill 232. This crucial update ensures that our billing processes are compliant and accurate, and it also simplifies the fee collection for the public. There was miscellaneous fees. You could go to one county and have one fee and come here and have a totally different one. So it kind of consolidates those prices across the board.
We've also partnered with Viewpoint Health to assist us in evaluating our need for guardianships and conservatorships. They now provide the licensed psychologists and licensed social workers to do the evaluation, which are an integral part of the determination as to whether a guardianship and or conservatorship is necessary for an incapacitated adult. Something I'm really excited about and proud of is we hosted a 4-part probate court speaker series in collaboration with the Nancy Gwynn Library. When I say 4-part, we had partnered work with lawyers, myself included, and we had a speaker each month, starting from May, I think, going to August. The titles of them were included. In the Land of Probate, which was an overview of the probate court services. I think, Madam Chair, you may have seen an excerpt of that. The second part was In Safe Hands, a guide to guardianships and conservatorships. Then we did a speaker series on legacy planning, navigating the basics of wills, estate planning, and funeral planning. That was tremendously received, more than standing room capacity in the library basement. Finally, we did a segment on untangling the estate. That is to say, after a loved one has passed, what happens next? How do you walk through the process? So, I can't fail to mention that we, for the first time, were part of an inaugural program with all of the probate courts in Georgia to have an intern. And of the 159 counties, only 6 probate courts had interns, and we were one of them. So I'm really proud of that. So let's talk about some of the opportunities.
One of our additional successes is both our judicial and clerk teams participated in ongoing professional development. That was done so through continuing judicial education as well as court administration trainings in office. This commitment to regular training ensures that our court staff is knowledgeable because the statutes are always changing, so it's important to keep them updated. We have several opportunities coming that we hope to bring to the probate court. First, we hope to modernize our court system by implementing mandatory e-file. This will make the legal process more efficient for everyone. It will improve accessibility and create a seamless experience for everyone.
When do we need to do that?
It's going to be mandated by 2028. It must be in effect by 2028. We hope to have that in effect before that time.
And what is the cost for just that piece of it? Do you know?
We're roughly projecting that it's going to get our system configured to what it needs to be around $55,000, and that's with the client success consultant from the court management system. So they'll be able to go in and configure everything, and there's an e-file team that they have that would come on board to make sure that we have a seamless transition. and they both correlate with our current court management system. God bless you.
Thank you. And the software you use right now is the same as the other courts?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes.
so Odyssey?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when we have updates and things like that, Odyssey itself doesn't have an opportunity to make those changes statewide, because I know a lot of court systems do use Odyssey.
Yeah.
So there's not
No,
a plan for them to do that?
they kind of rely heavily on the counties, mostly because each county does things differently. So it's kind of, I guess you could say, tailor-made, but it requires, in-depth knowledge of the system and how the operations work for each specific court. So they do rely heavily on the staff of the county to configure the system how they want it.
Okay.
We also plan to establish pro bono legal clinics to assist unrepresented parties. So this initiative will increase access to justice, ensuring that all members of our community can navigate the legal system with the support they need. Oftentimes, we have a lot of parties that don't have a lot of funds to retain an attorney, and some of these are simple processes that they could do on their own. So we hope that these pro bono clinics will help citizens be able to navigate the system by themselves. And then lastly, we hope to develop a new mediation program for the probate court. This program would provide more of a collaborative approach to resolving disputes, saving time and resources not only for the court, but the citizens that are filing. Oftentimes, a lot of the judges, they just simply act as mediators between family members that simply can't get along, and you're running up, bills that are ultimately coming out of the state, which is your inheritance, going away.
How would that work financially?
There is opportunities. There are fees that can be associated in the filing fees. Even superior courts and other courts can implement ADR, which is alternative dispute resolutions. And so there's a statute that you can charge, I believe it's $2-5 fee for each filing fee that would pay for that service.
Okay.
So with these successes and with the opportunities that we highlighted, we do face some challenges.
And of course, like we discussed about our court management system, it's really configured in a way that at this moment is inefficient, but that is because we're trying to implement e-file, getting more tracking services. So that's one of our biggest challenges right now, mostly the e-filing aspect of that, making sure that that's ready to go, mostly because it's mandatory.
Second challenge is that currently we are understaffed. The court urgently needs a full-time associate judge to share the growing judicial workload and the additional responsibilities associated with fiduciary compliance. Oftentimes, in order to bring individuals into compliance, there's a need to have a hearing which requires a judge and the issuing of an order. We don't have a law clerk or a staff attorney. So we have to do that ourselves. In addition to a judge, we're asking for a fiduciary compliance officer for estate matters. And we'll elaborate on the need for that a little later on. And then thirdly, we're asking for an additional clerk 3 dedicated to guardianships, which we did have at one time. Finally, we need, like so many other offices and departments, we need more space to accommodate what we anticipate will be 12 staff individuals. So with that being said, Jamie, we'll move to talk about operating budget request and justification.
So yes, with that, as you can see, the proposed budget for fiscal year 2026 shows an estimated total budget impact of $1,275,606. This represents an increase of $191,917 from 2025's budget. And this change is primarily driven by an increase in personnel and services and benefits. We're like every other department. This line item in specifics had an increase of $295,717. However, we did go through and try to offset that, and we have reduced our total operating expenses by $103,800. For 2026, we have a significant reduction of $130,000 in our professional services budget with a new proposed cost of $105,000. This decrease is primarily due to a reduction in special process servers. You all heard yesterday that the sheriff's office has had difficult times having deputies serve civil papers, and we are included in that. So we have had to go to an option of using a privatized company, a special process server, which is sometimes double, triple the rates of what the sheriff's services are. But with some of the work that we've done in office, we've been able to kind of reduce the need for those services down.
What's the turnaround time for privatized delivery?
Usually less than, 15 days. We can get them if it's an emergency, which we do have emergency conservatorships and guardianships that come into place. We work hand in hand with that company. We can get it, in a matter of 10 days, which has to be served then. And then lastly, our advertising budget has increased to an additional $18,000 for a total of $36,000. This is for legal newspaper publications, citations, and notices, which are mandated by statute. But it is important to note that unless required for state filed cases or indigent parties, these fees are paid directly by the parties of the cases, and it offsets that budgetary amount. So they'll pay it into the case, and then we disperse that at the end of the month, and finances cuts us one check to the newspaper for that. So,
Okay, so let's talk briefly about the organizational chart. If you look at these, the current organizational chart, we have 10 positions in the office, one of which is a part-time associate judge. When we submitted this, I think we had only one vacancy, and that was a Deputy Clerk 2 position that was vacant as of August 1st of 2025. We now know that as of August 27th of this year, in a week or two, that the associate judge position will be vacant as well. So if you can go to the next slide, please. The proposed organizational chart involves 3 changes, but only 2 additional positions. The associate judge is a reclassification as opposed to a new position, and we're asking that be from a part-time basis of only 2 days a week to a full-time basis. So that's a reclassification. And then we're asking for an additional Deputy Clerk 3 dedicated to guardianships and an additional fiduciary compliance clerk dedicated to estates. Jamie, you want to talk about the personnel budget requests and the justification for that, please?
So the new positions, as you see, our budget requests the addition of 2 new full-time positions, and this is to address the complexities of the cases that have increased as well as caseload. The Deputy Clerk 3, like Judge said, would specialize in guardianship and conservatorship cases, and this will ensure efficient management and protect those vulnerable individuals. And then the fiduciary compliance officer would oversee and manage the estate administration. There's additional duties that have to be involved with that now, so it's imperative that we have someone to oversee that those duties are being followed. Additionally, we are requesting to reclass the current part-time associate judge to full-time, and then this is to improve the case time processing and the increase of hearings that we've had.
Can you tell us some statistics about your caseload?
Yes, I sure can. Glad you asked. It's a good question. So from 2023 to 2025, we've had a 250% increase in hearings. So the complexity of these cases have increased, or we have parties objecting and they want to come before a judge and have their case heard. They don't want to settle. So that's caused us to have a significant increase in the amount of hearings that we're actually having to have. We've had a 15% increase just in case filings in that same period. And then
Can I just interject for those second? Those hearings, as you've heard already, the work that's required expands geometrically, but there's another piece as well. Many of those hearings raise unique issues, and as such, the orders that are required to be timely filed, we cannot rely on the standard orders, and they require original orders, which have to be researched and written and all of that. And again, as I said, we don't have a law clerk or a staff attorney, so it's up to the judge to do that. And with all of the other responsibilities that the judges are responsible for, it really is quite a Herculean task. Please continue.
And on top of the increase in hearings, increase in case filings, we've also had a 135% increase in our compliance documentation. So when you're appointed as a conservator, or if you're appointed as an executor, and you're required to file reports with the court, or so the parties can know where the money is, what's happening with it, these compliance documents have increased 135% on that, which requires a clerk to review those and make sure the accounting is correct. Otherwise, they can motion for an accounting, and then we have to have a hearing on the matter, so expending that time to make sure that they're in compliance with those.
And what's your requirement for compliance review? Once a year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Annually.
So is that not seasonal versus annually?
Well, everyone has different appointment dates, so it's a 60-day anniversary from your appointment. So every
Okay.
single case could have a different date.
Okay.
And just to be clear, those annual reports involve, they must a listing, receipts, and we must meticulously review them. And oftentimes that review is kind of like what you would expect an accountant to do. And if there's any discrepancy after having gone, and those files are oftentimes quite thick, if you can imagine the receipts associated with a year. But after we go through all of that, if we see any discrepancies, we then have to go back to the preceding year to see if there's any consistency. Please continue.
Oh, that's all I have for that.
Okay, let's, the next slide, which should be the 5-year plan. I want to say a word or two to put our request for the 5-year plan in context. Strike that capital improvement plan. The Rockdale County Probate Court is entrusted with preserving the legal and historical records of both individuals and of this county. By law, some of those records must be kept permanently. Records like wills, marriage records, and estate files for which there is no will. Now, roughly 70% of our older probate records are stored off-site at Parker Road. But the remaining 30%, the oldest and most fragile, are haphazardly housed in a different location. Many of these records are more than 100 years old, but they're not just old papers. They hold important historical and genealogical value. They contain stories of our county and its citizens, stories of families, of land, of life, and legacy. These old documents are fragile and should be carefully restored, preserved, and protected from the damaging effects of water and humidity. They should be properly indexed and digitized so that Rockdale citizens can have ready access to them. However, currently, these old documents, as I said, are haphazardly stored in a place called the dungeon, a room in the basement of the court and adjacent to the holding cells for inmates. The dungeon is not designed for preservation, and the old records and documents in the dungeon are vulnerable to water damage and deterioration. Next slide, please. This is a view of the inside of the dungeon. I just want to point out several things. If you look on, I believe, what would be your right, you will see a blue wheelchair. I believe that's there to accommodate the inmates who are disabled. You see the haphazard storage. Some of the records are in boxes, on top of boxes. But most notably, if you look to the top left, you will see water pipes and I think a sprinkler system in the case of fire. If any one of those pipes should either burst or the sprinkler system go off, many of those records are subject to being permanently damaged and maybe even lost forever. Next slide, please.
Yeah, so some of the photos that you're looking at here, these are marriage records on your far right from 1872. In the center there are records that have been bound probably sometime in the 20s or 30s, and they're now falling apart. And then over to the right, these are drawdown accounts on estates. So these are estate records that need to be preserved and taken care of. So what we hope to do in our 5-year capital improvement,
If I can just back up a second. Yes, go ahead.
So years ago, we did digitize a lot of our legal records over there. So did those not get captured at all?
Do you know which ones are currently recorded to be digitized? How far you got?
we haven't indexed the records there that are there, but we believe it's every record from 1870 up until about 1950.
Well, it is 1870 until, that time frame because, not to give a little history lesson here, but it used to just be the ordinary, which was a probate court, and the Board of Commissioners combined. So you do have a lot of that there. We have digitized a lot of our records, including the clerk of court, that kind of thing, and we have made provisions over at Parker Road for certain records, and of course when the new facility comes online. So I'd have to check and see exactly where we are and which records have been digitized.
Yeah. The older records, the ones that are 100 years old, the ones that are in the dungeon have not been. I think we use MCI.
MCCI, yes,
MCCI
that is correct.
to
So the
go-
probate court did not participate in the digitizing of those records, is that what you're saying?
Taking those
Uh-huh.
for the current year we have from what we have in files,
Mhm.
but in the dungeon, none of those.
Okay, so you started present and worked your way back, is that what you're saying? Okay. So.
For those who are off camera and may not have heard the dialogue that was going back and forth, the information is that basically we started from current and went as far back as we could. And I believe, my information may not be accurate, we went back about what, to 19? For the record, yeah. We went back about 50 years.
Okay.
In any case,
Taking files from 1874, it's in file that was inside the vault in the old building when it was there. So any file that we have from 1874 to present, the MCC.
There's a mismatch of records. So there were some on site in the probate court that dated back to the 1800s, but there's many of them that were stored in the dungeon that date back to the 1800s that weren't collected in the MCCI project.
So I'm hearing a couple of things. One, we need to work on getting these documents out of the dungeon, which I'm aware of. That's right near the Sally Port, in case anybody's wondering. And then the second part of your capital request is to pick up where you left off and work backwards to digitize these that are still, that haven't been digitized.
that is correct. We were asking to restore them. For our 5-year plan, we're asking that these older documents that have partially deteriorated be restored, preserved, digitized, and indexed. So, Jamie, would you talk about the costs associated with that, please, and the justification?
Yeah, so we have allocated $150,000 over the 5-year, and this is for those improvements, which includes preservation, which consists of conservation treatments, deacidification, encapsulation, binding, and imaging for archival image capture and processing. And then once those are digitized, we hope to work with our IT partners to create a platform where you can view those without having to come in and touch these records. It would be able to be completely accessible by the public 24 hours a day rather than coming into the court and getting time to go through those records hands-on.
So I have two questions. One, once they're digitized, what happens to the original document? And two, what are the provisions in the new judicial complex for storage so they're not?
So once they're digitized, we still have to, certain of those records, we have to keep permanently. The original records we have to keep. The other ones, of course, we can destroy based off of those retention schedules that are mandated by the state. We have worked with Director Hammer and Mr. Robinson about storage, perhaps somewhere in the basement, of the new facility, but they have accommodated our actual office space and put in a public viewing area in that area so that we could have actual people come in and view those original records if they want to. A lot of people like to get their hands on old documents when they're doing genealogical research. So we still wanted to be able to provide that service to the public and also provide it digital for those who
Do
would
we
like to
provide
use it.
that now?
We can't currently because they're in the dungeon.
Right, I've never heard of us doing that
Yeah.
in the recent
So,
future.
as
so-
part of, now, of course, the courts aren't subject to open records, but we are, the side of the fence says. And you do have, there is a provision in which you can allow a requester to review themselves in person, to review records. I'm not sure I've heard of the court, unless it's just something like the Georgia Department of Archives might do, where they'll set up a book or something like that, the viewing area. But typically, the probate court's a little different, a little nuanced over there in the sense that you're somewhere in the middle. So I could see where you could offer that as long as the integrity of the documents are withheld, so intact.
And actually, the original plans of the courthouse didn't accommodate that, but as Ms. White has mentioned, we met with Mr. Director Hammer and Mr. Robinson and actually showed them the dungeon and showed them our proposal for binding them. They redrafted the plans to be able to accommodate them and preserve them and maintain their integrity.
Thank you.
Very good. I would love to get a summary report on what's been digitized and what hasn't, because it seemed a little confusing as to what that exactly looks like, so.
We can do that and get that
As a
back to
side
you.
note. All right,
Absolutely.
thank you,
You're welcome.
Judge.
Jamie, have you?
I'm finished, yes.
All right, next slide, please.
That we are through if there's no other questions.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank y'all so much. It was a pleasure seeing you.
Great, so next on the schedule is Superior Court, but I see that Judge Attend and Magistrate Court is here. I'm not sure if we want to wait a second and wait for Judge Bells and Judge Wood, or if we want to move ahead with Judge Attend.
I think we could just move ahead.
Are you
That would
good
be
with that?
fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
15.
I'm Chief Magistrate Judge Finger 10 for our viewers who may not be familiar with me. And I have been your Chief Magistrate Judge since January 2013. I want to take this opportunity before I start the budget presentation to make the county and the Board of Commissioners aware that on August 5th, 2025, this week, our Magistrate Clerk of Court celebrated her 10th anniversary with the court and the county. Ms. Carricker, you just come up, I don't know, I'm putting you on the spot. You don't have to say much, but I want people to take a good look at this wonderful tailored outfit you have on today, and excellence.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much for the opportunity. It's been an absolute pleasure working here for the community, for Chief Magistrate Judge Attend, for Rockdale County, and it has all been an absolute pleasure. I look forward to many more years to come in serving the community and this court.
Thank you. Do you mind giving us just a brief explanation of what you do in the court?
Absolutely.
If you'll take the microphone.
I would say I can make that real brief, everything but judge. Everything but judge. And she might silently be doing that.
Some of the things that I do, obviously, is the administration of the court, making sure that the clerks have the things that they need to support the court, Judge Attend and our other associate judges, making sure that our records are up to date in a position where they are available for both court personnel and any members of the public, making sure that the accounting is moving forward as it should be, being very hands-on with new technology. For instance, a few years back, we got a new case management system. It's Quicket for our ordinances. We are still improving, still working, still getting those kinks out of that particular case management system, along with our current case management system, which is Odyssey, which is Tyler. We've put things in place that assist our clerks as far as giving them the ability to work more efficiently with their duties that assist both the court and the general members of the public. I also attend court. At any point in time, I am always a working clerk, which means it's absolutely nothing that goes on within the court that I can't do, or that I have not seen, or that I'm not familiar with. And if I'm not familiar with, I always have my support that's right here, which is Judge Attend. So from answering phone calls, talking calls from the public, going to the clerk's office, speaking with them, assuring them that their concerns are being met, that and a host of other things. I also work tirelessly even over the weekend. Just this past Saturday, I had my laptop at home, and I worked 5 hours on what we call e-files. And so my job seems to never end. I take calls from the sheriff's office over the weekend. I can even say I was in Vegas on holiday, and so they contacted me, which must have been 10 o'clock their time, 6 o'clock mine. So I'm always accessible to serve our partners, whether it's the PD's office, the DA's office. So those are some of the things that I do, and a host of others.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that, because a lot of people have no idea what that expansive role may look like. But we appreciate your dedication to the citizens and for making things run smoothly over there. So we appreciate the last 10 years spent with Rockdale.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And look forward to many more, I might
Thank
add.
you. Thank you, Judge Attend.
That on-call schedule you have reminded me of when I was supposed to be taking my birthday vacation in London, and we had the biolab disaster here. And so at midnight London time, late in the afternoon, I guess here, Patricia and I were drafting an emergency order for the court closure and giving our citizens and litigants idea of how they would still have access to the court. Right. So these jobs are a lot, but they also, in addition to being a lot of responsibility, they're just, your heart just expands with being able to help the community in such unique ways, whether that's victims or just concerned citizens who want to know what's going on in our law camp. Patricia plays a big role in helping me put on our law camp, which is also looking at its 10th year of service, and that's for middle school and high school students, local students who are interested in exploring law-related careers. And so we generally have that during the winter break, when many parents haven't planned such elaborate break time with their children as summer break. But this year, because there's been so much going on, we actually are having it during the fall break, which is another break that sometimes parents don't prepare for as elaborately as the winter break during the holiday season. So we're glad to offer that service and unique opportunities to our future leaders, and Patricia plays a big role in a lot of the community service initiatives that the magistrate court has promoted, organized, or participated in as well.
Okay. Very good.
Okay. So we can go to the next slide.
So Judge Attend, there should be a clicker at the podium.
Oh, there
I don't
is?
know if you can see it. Is it up there?
It is.
Okay, great. So
Yeah,
you're-
how was Judge Washington able to masterfully go from slide to slide? I
Listen.
didn't see him pushing his button. I'm gonna give this to you now.
He's just too smooth, right? So
You hit the down arrow.
Yes.
all right, she does it all. See?
Thank you. So the magistrate court is the judicial forum where justice starts in our criminal, felony, and misdemeanor cases. Those cases, the felonies are ultimately tried before the Superior Court. The misdemeanor cases are ultimately tried in our state courts. However, before they make their way there, justice starts at the magistrate court with the issuance of arrest and search warrants as needed by all of our law enforcement agencies. Not only do we issue warrants at the behest or application for the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office and our local Conyers Police Department, But we handle issuances from state troopers, from other state agencies, Atlanta Police Department, Fulton County Police Department, Gwinnett, all over, because venue generally lies in Georgia, in the state where a crime was committed. That doesn't always mean that there's a suspect who is local. They could be someone that is, many miles away that committed a crime here. Or there may be someone that committed a crime somewhere else, but they live here, and law enforcement agencies around the state may need to investigate their home, their car, property that's situated in Rockdale County. So, and that's the beauty I'll talk about a little later with our electronic filing system that the county invested in during COVID. So that's where we start after the issuance of arrest warrants. Once a person is actually apprehended, some people are apprehended on the spot, very early in the investigation. Sometimes it takes years for law enforcement to encounter that person, get a warrant hit, and actually bring them into custody. But when that occurs, it's responsibility of the sheriff's office to bring that person before the magistrate court within a very short time period of their arrest based on constitutional statutory laws. And once that's usually 48 to 72 hours, depending on the circumstances of that arrest. And then that hearing is called first appearance. We conduct first appearances in Rockdale County 6 days a week. The law requires within that time period, like I said, someone gets arrested on a Friday, if they're within that 48-hour perimeter, that obviously means we need to see them by Sunday. That was one of the innovations that I implemented when I first came to the bench. It was a requirement at that time, but it was something that wasn't really being implemented, and so we had to standardize that, one, for the administration of justice and also for county liability. So I'm always looking through those two lands of the law to make sure that Rockdale doesn't have some unintended, unfortunate situation or liability because the laws aren't being enforced in the justice system. So that's the importance of having a strong and knowledgeable, competent gatekeeper for our justice system. After first appearance, if the person remains in custody, we have the committal hearing, which is the next hearing. That is usually scheduled about 10 to 14 days after arrest, more so on the 10-day side. And I must say for local jurisdictions, that's a pretty good turnaround, okay? That time we can reconsider bond for individuals who were not able to make the bond that was initially set, like I said, 7 to 10 days prior. They also have counsel at that time, usually the public defender's office or private counsel. And we have what's called an evidentiary hearing. That's where the court now examines whether there is a reasonable likelihood the person committed the offense. That's probable cause. And that's the second time the magistrate court has looked at probable cause, because that was also the standard for the issuance of the arrest warrant. But now the defendant and his counsel or her counsel get a chance to participate and examine that evidence and probe that evidence and cross-examine it. At that juncture, we are acting kind of like a traffic controller directing. So if there's not sufficient probable cause, then the charge can be dismissed at the magistrate court level at that juncture. That can save the court and the county a lot of time and money in not continuing to prosecute cases that we don't even make that lowest threshold of the burden of proof on the state. So, but if the court finds there is probable cause, which is the case most of the time, then we bind it over. Sometimes we have to amend the charges. Maybe they were, charged at a higher rate than the law, the evidence at that point proves. Sometimes they're undercharged, and it's pretty clear to the court at that time that they need to be upgraded. So we're doing a lot of that. We're doing a lot of adjusting and trying to get the case in a better posture in terms of the evidence, conform with the evidence presented at the time for that ultimate trial court. And so, like I said, if it's only misdemeanors, that case is going to then be bound over and directed to one of our state court judges. If there are felonies or a combination of felonies and misdemeanors, then that entire case is going to be bound up to our superior court judges for trial. So we kind of perfect things. And one of the wonderful things that I'm glad through the initiatives of Commissioner Williams with the Stepping Up program that we've been officially part of, a national program that is seriously addressing the intersectionality between criminal justice and mental health and substance abuse. We are considered the interceptor. Some models we're 0 to 1, and some where it's 1 to 2. But just very early on, that allows us to detect mental health complications or challenges early. The jail is certainly screening for them, but because my hearings are coming up so early, that first appearance, we're seeing people before the jail psychologist or psychiatrist has even seen them. So we're able to make referrals to our mental health coordinator, Brenda Ernest, who wears many hats and titles in that realm of stepping up. And then she normally is able to issue an assessment report by the committal hearing within that 10 days time period, where she's assisted the court with identifying housing for people who are suffering mental health, substance abuse, and housing challenges. Or maybe they've been violent to their caregiver, and that's just not a viable place for them to return to. We don't want to just let them out and then they have no place and everything they're dealing with is exacerbated. So Ms. Ernest has helped us identify housing that may be at a facility, assisted care facility. It could be an inpatient place. It could be outpatient. She's helped with, I think she has some job placement grants. I mean, we've been able to do some extraordinary things, and it always doesn't lead to placement in Rockdale. She has such a wide wealth of a network and information. I know there were 2 young people a few years ago we identified during first appearance that she was able to drive to a location in Atlanta and provide housing. These young men were like 17, 18 years old. So I love being at the gateway of the magistrate court. We also render judgment in a diverse array of civil matters. Some of the matters do wind up on Judge Judy shows. I have literally gotten letters from her shows, Judge Judy, as well as I believe it's one called the Hot Bench she used to have, and that's considered to be private settlement. Normally, the producers comb the court records, and they kind of identify cases that they think may have a little entertainment value. And they'll ask the litigants, do they want to go to California or wherever they're taping? And I hope this isn't a secret, the deal is not only do you get to stay in a hotel, get flown out, but you also don't have to pay your judgment. I think this show said, so we have had some cases where both parties have to agree, yeah, let's do this. And then we had some where I could tell, I'm like, did y'all get a call from Judge Judy? And they're like, yeah, but he didn't want to go, So I can kind of spot them, but that happens sometimes. And then we put them on the docket, no one shows up, we formally dismiss them. Yeah, what happens on Judge Judy's show is not a formal adjudication in California. So that has happened. So we have small claim type cases. We have landlord-tenant cases. And landlord-tenant is expanded, as you know, over the last several years in terms of rights, clarification of rights, expansion of rights for both landlords and tenants. And so we handle a variety of those cases, some involving counterclaims for landlord's duty to make repairs, of course, basic rent issue, holdover or lease issues, family members that have been living together for a number of years that want to part ways. All those come under landlord-tenant. Even if you don't have a lease, the Georgia law can identify the existence of a landlord-tenant relationship that has to be severed through court intervention, if not privately agreed. So we handle those kind of matters. Abandoned motor vehicles, which expanded in recent years. 2019, magistrate court became the exclusive jurisdiction trial court for those, and you can have trials now. Before it was pretty strict compliance, transactional. If the tow company or the repair shop submitted certain documentation, there were no challenges, and they could get the car, sell it at auction to recoup their fees, and then submit the fees to the proper agency. But now you can actually have a trial. So we have a lot of lien holders and their attorneys who are demanding those trials. And so we have seen expansion litigation in that area, in addition to now just being the forum where all of those types of cases are handled. So our mission is to protect the rights and liberties of all, uphold and interpret the law, resolve legal matters according to law, fairly and impartially and promote public trust and confidence in the judiciary through meaningful and sustained community engagement, equal access to justice, and best practices in judicial services. The next slide. Some of our successes in recent months in the last year include the e-warrant system that I mentioned earlier. That is administered through a program called Anytime Warrants, or Palatine, I believe is the actual vendor. This continues to allow us to enhance our criminal justice case flow and promote greater public safety. One of the things that Judge Washington talked about was all these paper records. Well, you know, sometimes it's like finding a needle or trying to find a needle in a haystack when a paper goes errant. It goes somewhere else. And so having everything stored in the cloud through this very safe system, which is used throughout the state, especially in metro counties, is wonderful, because we all can just push a button and see what the judge signed off on, what the officers presented, and it's there. We don't have to go scrambling looking for a piece of paper or trying to call an officer who may be on vacation, but the DA's office wants the warrant, which hasn't been returned to us yet. So it adds a lot of efficiency. Also, the officers are able to type in these certain fields, and so it keeps things more uniform. And that end also allows the officers, some of them call in and apply for warrants in their patrol cars. They have stations set up at the jail and in the investigative offices where they're able, in the comfort at their desk, or just going down the hall to apply for a warrant, rather than driving throughout the day back and forth trying to track down a judge to sign a warrant. So that has been wonderful and enhanced our greater public safety. So this year, what we did to expand it, and we're always looking for ways to expand the use of our technology, not just use it as is, but find new tools, functions to kind of push it forward. And so this year, the Sheriff Levitt and I both had a desire to see what we could do in terms of search warrant issuances. Now, search warrants usually have a more elaborate narrative. It can run on for pages, depending on what evidence, what place, and what thing, place is being searched, seized, or searched. And so there's a concern that you can't sometimes read like a little novelette on the screen and make sure that you're really scrutinizing probable cause. So Sheriff Levitt identified several of his seasoned investigators, and we identified some clerks to assist and made all the judges aware. We had a training about what this would look like. So we're in a pilot stage of that. So whatever kinks and concerns we see with that, we can smooth out as a pilot before we expand it to all of the search warrant applications. And then for the second year in a row, the court has made a record number of mental health assessment referrals. We weren't tracking before. We've been doing that for years. Even before there was an official Stepping Up program, was partnering with our local psychologists, psychiatrist communities to offer early court intervention at the magistrate node. But now we've been keeping the numbers, and last year we were at 40. And that is, that's a lot of early detection and a lot more public safety in our communities. So those are some of our successes. Highlights, last year I provided these numbers. This year I'll do so again. We issued 4,422 felony and misdemeanor warrants. And these were all through our Palatine system, because these are the arrest warrants. Over 80% ordinance case clearance rate was achieved. So what is the case clearance rate? That's, you're looking at the number of ordinances coming in, the number being closed out. So that's pretty impressive. We had 293 that were actually adjudicated out of 361 ordinance cases that were filed. Some of that is, I think about 12 were jury trial demands, so they're going to state court. Georgia law does allow if someone wants to have a jury trial in either a traffic court matter, say citation arising out of the city of Conyers, or an ordinance citation arising out of Rockdale County. The defendant can ask for a jury trial demand, and so we've seen a slight uptick in that. I would just say slight. We've seen an uptick in those jury demands. So those will be adjudicated by either Judge McCray or Judge Reed. That also informs that 293 number, I think by about 12 of those cases. They're closed for us because there's no return to the magistrate court once that decision is made to plow forward. The county attorney still prosecutes the case, but the judge changes and then a jury can be brought in. Those are the differences. And I was awarded the Magistrate Judge of the Year Award by GABCO, and our very own Patricia Carricker was recognized by the Atlanta Bar Association Judicial Section as Administrative Professional of the Year. In April, she beat out clerks and judicial assistants working for Court of Appeals judges in Georgia, administrative court judges, Superior Court professionals. So it was stiff competition, but again, not just us, but others recognize her level of excellence. So we appreciate that. Challenges, I believe a lot of these will be remedied by our move to the new judicial complex, but it's space. You know, when we were in the old Bank Street, Court Street building, I call our little house on the prairie, next to the tag office, we had use of the court. We could have a court session 5 days a week. But now, because we share one courtroom in a building, the Clay Building, with probate has a court 2 days a week, and then magistrate court has 3. So we're taking 5 days of court sessions and shoving them and stuffing them into 3 days of availability, on top of the expansion of litigation over the years, over these last few years since we've been there. So what I'm very pleased about is that we will have 2 courtrooms once we move. And so that's, maximum of 10 sessions we could have versus 3. So that's what I said. That is our main challenge, still making sure that justice is administered with the confines and constraints that we currently have, just physically. Okay, and then we also have a second full-time judge, Judge Stacy, who had been our longtime part-time on-call judges, one of the judges who issues warrants during the evening when we're closed, and on weekends has a full-time position now. So we've seen, even not having the courtroom space, we've seen the increase in efficiency, because now when I'm in court, she can review motions and pleadings that don't require a court session but need justice served, and vice versa. When she's on the bench, I'm able to do that. So it's just made a huge difference with the level of work that we can handle.
Judge Attend,
Yes.
with all due respect, we have
I'm
just
almost
a couple
done?
minutes. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
I'm almost
Thank
there.
you. Thank you.
I'm just, going by the template. And I'm almost done. I got 2 more slides. You can go to the next one. Access, as you can see, some areas that we're growing in, we had a 2% increase in ordinance filings, 15% increase in general civil filings, 15% increase in arrest warrants, 5% increase, and 10% increase in our committals and preliminary hearings. So we are definitely providing more access to our court users. Equity, the court continues to maximize opportunities for learning, experience, and rewards in the workplace. We are happy to announce that we pushed forward with identifying 2 of our clerks who were able to successfully participate in the county's bilingual incentive program. They've been helping extend access to justice for our Spanish speakers, without any additional compensation. And so we are so glad that the county offers that program, and 2 of them qualify. One is in that stage where he needs to be employed with us a little longer to start getting it, but he tested, I believe he's going to get it when he reaches that threshold. And the other clerk has been doing it for a number of years, probably about 5 almost. So we're glad to have her in that program this year. Innovation, I've already told you about the pilot program that we have with a select number of Rockdale County investigators. Operating budget, we're not asking for any more. We do our best when the commission asks us to kind of, keep it tight together. We've done that year after year. This year is no different. We're not asking for any increases. We're making do with what we have, but I must say we must have what we got. So please don't take anything away other.
Duly noted, Judge.
Yes, I would stress that. The only increase you see absolutely 0 change in our operating expenses, personnel is due to statutory changes made by the General Assembly on that line item, I believe. And the last screen, that screen, just a highlight of, no offense to that lovely slide of the county cars, but we don't have a county car, so I wasn't going to leave that up on my thank you.
Well, I thank you.
Maybe
for-
next year.
Yeah.
But just some pictures. We this year, our new Chief State Court Judge, Judge McCray, came in and helped us unite some of our families who wanted to get married on Valentine's Day. We were glad to have them. That's a program that will continue. And then the others are, like I said, highlights from some of the award ceremonies that Patricia and I were able to participate in this year. Thanks to the wonderful jobs that we've been afforded to serve our community. We absolutely love them. You can see I could talk on and on about how much I love the magistrate court and serving Rockdale County in this capacity, but I think y'all get the gist of it.
We
Okay?
do.
Thank you.
Very much.
Okay, Madam Chair and Commissioners, the next presentation will be from Superior Court. So do we want to start with Chief Superior Court Judge Bills? And then followed by Judge Woods? Or maybe they're coming together. All right, so
A joint presentation. I like the collaborative spirit. That's great.
Yeah, so thank you, Board of Commissioners for last year. So because we have Darlene as the court administrator, that Judge Mumford asked for that for many, many years. All circuits have a court administrator. So Darlene is now under both of us. So she's doing the administrative, the budget. So a lot of our presentation is collaborative. So we have separate, obviously, personnel, but we can go through, and it's going to be very quick.
And can I just
guessing.
say a thank you to her? How long have you been with the county?
January will be 28 years.
28 years. So thank you.
So when I say we're thrilled to have Darlene, that's an understatement.
I understand.
So we appreciate her expertise and her institutional knowledge, and she is only going to help us because she's creating this position. We've never had a court administrator. So she's already been to training, she's making it what it needs to be, and she's making our jobs a lot simpler, and hopefully y'all's too.
Good. Thank you.
So I guess somebody else is operating.
So, did you give the clicker back to, okay, so it is sitting on the
I'm
podium,
very technologically challenged, so I will do my best.
and
Okay.
there's a down button for each slide.
Okay. So I will just start by saying that nothing has changed with our vision, our mission, our values. We have never exceeded a budget. This is my 20th year serving the county, so we've never exceeded a budget. We have some things that changed under our umbrella. And as of January, when Judge Mumford left, I became the chief judge. And then we added Darlene as the court administrator. We then added another JA for Judge Wood. So you can tell on the budget summary, these numbers are not completely accurate because under the personnel services and benefits, the people that they have under each of our umbrellas is not accurate. So their HR is working on that, I think.
Okay.
But in total operating expenses, you'll see the change is $1,798. That's just a projection on general supplies, paper, that kind of thing. Under personnel, that number is not correct. The actual number is 174,077. That includes the two new positions we're asking for. I'm asking for our adult drug court coordinator to be made a permanent county position, and we're asking that the Stepping Up Initiative project manager, who is currently being paid through ARPA funds through December of 2025. So she's technically a grant. That's technically a grant position. We're asking that be put into the general fund as well. So that number's not accurate, but we are asking for those two grant-funded positions to be made official county positions.
Did the first position, that was grant funded, and it ended when?
Well, it hasn't ended. Those are the two. Maureen has a coordinator,
and she's asking for it to be made a county. It's just one of those buy-ins that the accountability courts are looking for. So the DUI court coordinator, Ms. Gaither, was made an employee back a couple of administrations ago.
Okay.
And so when we ask for funding from the CACJ, we don't have to ask for her salary, and it can be used as a match for state and federal grants. So in that vein, you all know the success of the accountability courts, and I have actually brought you their 2025 executive summary. The amount of savings to the county and the productivity to the county and the state cannot be refuted, and is in fact evidence-based. So I will just leave that for you all to look at. The accountability courts, we have them top to bottom. Adult drug court, mental health court, DUI court, juvenile court has 3 or 4. So we're actually asking for a veterans track. So we will have every kind of accountability court that has been created. But just in this brief summary, there's $41.3 million in annual benefits to the state of Georgia. And the economic impact per graduate is $26,000. And each of our courts that have been running a different amount of time, we've had hundreds of graduates. So that is a sound investment for the county, I believe. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? I'm happy to answer questions. Okay. So the only other thing, we just had our org charts, and they're a little complicated, but we tried to, because the lab is also under me.
Org chart, the new one.
Yeah, and the only other
2026?
thing, the only other request we have in the budget for the lab, and they are a revenue generating part of our courts. The $10,500 is for a generator because they test, they're doing drug testing for our courts, for other courts, for some county testing, so they have to keep, the samples have to stay refrigerated, and so there's a generator because West Avenue has a lot of power outages. And then again, there's no personnel change. That was not, and that will flesh out, I think, when all the personnel gets lined up with the categories that they're supposed to be under.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll work on that one.
Right. Right.
All right, very good.
So everything else is just our, the org charts. In the last 2 slides, the 5-year capital improvement plan. Of course, the generator is in there, and I don't remember if this is in our plan with the new courthouse, but the lab services, instead of paying rent, we would love it if it was in a county-owned building.
Oh, I heard different information than that.
It's not included in the plan currently.
Okay.
The accountability, the other people are, but not the lab.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm not saying I heard anything differently, but we would like that because we have to
Okay.
pay the rent
Okay.
from our revenue.
So we will, let's have an offline conversation because that is a little different than what I wasn't told. So anyway,
Okay.
we'll take care of that.
And that's
Thank you.
where we have offices there too. The Stepping Up Initiative and the lab are all housed in,
There.
and we do groups and meetings there as well.
I see.
And that's the accountability court labs on West Avenue.
Right. Okay.
Okay? Any questions?
No.
Thank you all for your support. I really appreciate it. And I will turn the podium over to Judge Wood. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thanks to Chief Judge Beals, my presentation will be really, really short because we basically have the same presentation, just as the Chief Superior Court Judge. She has many more administrative responsibilities, so her slides are longer. They include more information specifically about what you heard about the accountability courts. So our mission is the same, so if we move to the next slide. Okay.
Down.
Next slide, please. Okay. All right. So in terms of any changes, we really do not have any major changes except for the requests that both superior courts are asking for. I preside over the resource court, which is the mental health accountability court. And so I'm asking that that grant-funded coordinator position go from a grant-funded position to a county position. I've served on the funding committee for the Council of Accountability Court Judges since 2017. And so every year when you're going through that funding process, which a great deal of our funds come from all of our accountability courts, there's always the question that is posed to the courts every year: what are you doing for sustainability? What are you doing to sustain this program? And so it has been something that over time we have come and we have tried to ask that our coordinator position be the position that become county funded as opposed to grant funded. That does not, the idea is that would not lessen our grant funds that we receive, but it would direct them into areas such as the drug testing, the surveillance, some of the other areas that we also have to pay for and that come out of grant funds. And so what that creates is sustainability of our programs. There would never be a situation where we are not able to sustain a program because we do not have our grant-funded coordinator. And so there are several grant-funded positions that flow through accountability courts, but if we have a coordinator at all times, that is our sustainability plan. And so that would address the increase in the personnel services. Our numbers are not, on this slide, are not accurate. Same as Judge Beal's announcement, they will be updated once that information is given. So the increase to the operating expenses, same thing, that is your normal office expenses, but it also includes an increase when it comes to education and training dues and fees. And that's just because we have additional personnel than we have generally had in the past. So that would increase some of those things. Next would be the organization chart. My organization chart looks very similar to our chief judge organization chart. The major difference is the chief judge has lots more that flow under her when it comes to the accountability courts and some of the other things.
And which accountability court do you specifically handle?
So I preside over the resource court, which is the mental health court. And okay. I was recently elected for Council of Accountability Court Judges on the executive board as the representative for resource mental health courts. Okay. And so we have Rockdale County representation at that very high level for accountability courts. So we are all bought into accountability courts because they work. In addition to the economic impact, you will also see in that brochure that they put out every year, you will see the recidivism reduction. And so what that means in simplest terms for the community is watching is safer communities. And so in addition to the money that it saves, it also helps create safer communities. And we want a safe community. Proposed organization chart would be the next slide. Well, the first one will be, that's the proposed organization chart. What you'll see is you'll just see the change highlighted there from grant funded to county funded, and that's the only request. And then personnel budget request will be the next slide. And this number is accurate. This would show not just the salary, but the salary plus the benefits for that one position. So you have an idea of out of pocket what that would look like. And then finally is the budget request, which I've already explained why we are asking for that at this time. Okay. All right. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so
Have a
up
good
next
day.
will be the district attorney.
Okay, I know we are scheduled through 12 today, correct? But we will go ahead and have them up. What is the schedule amendment?
This is our last presentation scheduled for today as the district attorney.
Yes.
Okay.
I must have it.
We added it after the first day.
We're happy to have you. Come on. No.
Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning.
All right, well, I know I stand before everyone in lunch, but I will do my best to be as efficient as possible.
That is not our hurry.
Okay, okay.
By
But
any means.
good morning, Chairman
Good morning.
Van Ness, Commissioner Smith, and Commissioner Williams. It is my honor to stand before you this morning and make this presentation on behalf of the District Attorney's Office. I'd like to first begin by introducing our
The down button.
thank you, vision, mission, and values. So if we look at the vision, that's where we are going, right, as an office, the big picture, our goals. Our mission being what we are purposed to do here in the Rockdale community, and also the values which will reflect how we are going to govern ourselves as an office and as well as individuals along the way. And it is our vision to improve the quality of life in Rockdale County, uphold and restore the public's trust in the criminal justice system, engage and collaborate with the community, be leaders in ethical prosecution, and implement innovative and alternative strategies to hold the accused accountable to deter future criminal conduct. It is our mission to enhance the safety of Rockdale County through the fervent and equitable prosecution of both misdemeanor and felony crimes. We will protect victims and their rights, hold the accused accountable in a manner that best prevents future criminal conduct, and provide opportunities for the community to partner in the pursuit of justice. We value professionalism, respect, opportunity, unity, and dependability. And so I know we're at the budget presentation, and ultimately it comes down to, okay, tell us your dollars for what you want and make it make sense. But I do believe that proper context is necessary because in order for me to be able to provide the full understanding, I need to give you an overview as to what we do. What I have learned over 19 years of prosecution, 8 of which being a DA, is not many really know the nuance of what this district attorney's office actually does and the role that we play. So our key functions and responsibilities include criminal prosecution. That's obvious, right? So we handle all felony and misdemeanor cases here in Rockdale County. And as most people know, it is the job of officers and deputies to respond to a crime and ultimately make an arrest. But what happens to that case after the arrest takes place? Well, that's where your DA's office comes in. We are the ones who are to evaluate and determine the legal viability of the charges and ultimately how and or if the person arrested should be held accountable based on the evidence that we have before us. And so we work in every court of this jurisdiction with the exception of probate court. So Superior Court, State Court, Magistrate Court, all the accountability courts, and of course juvenile courts. That's who we are and how we function in that role. We also deal with case management, and we officially manage and process thousands of cases annually. You saw the warrants that Judge Attend signed, right? We deal with those warrants. It comes to us. But by processing each case, I'm referring to the nuance, sort of behind the scenes work that it takes from arrest to the disposition or closure of a case through our office, and that includes opening the case, investigating, gathering the evidence to make the charging decision that best reflects justice and ultimately bring that case to court if necessary. We also provide legal guidance, and by statute under Title 15, Chapter 8, Section 6, we are the ones who are responsible for giving legal guidance to our law enforcement officers. So the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office, City of Constantine, we do speak with them a lot regarding how to proceed, legal mechanisms, what the law says regarding what they're going to do regarding search warrants or other cases. So that's our legal responsibility. Likewise, we offer victim support. We provide comprehensive services to crime victims, including notification of court appearances, counseling, and support referral, as well as court accompaniment during the process. So within a couple of days post-arrest, our victim advocates are reaching out and speaking to the victims of crime to provide them with necessary support, resources, and informing them of bond hearings over the weekend, and giving them resources and help. And this support continues throughout the duration of the case and sometimes even after. And also our role, which I think is also equally as important, is prevention and intervention, right? The implementation of enrichment programs to educate our youth on impact of crime to prevent and deter criminal conduct. So we cannot discuss prosecution without talking about prevention and intervention here in Rockdale County. It is my role to implement those things that work to prevent youth here in Rockdale from ever entering the criminal justice system in the first place, right? Prevention efforts amount to preemptive public safety. And our impact yields public safety here in Rockdale by holding offenders accountable, which helps to deter crime, victim support and advocacy by guiding survivors through this process, the integrity of the criminal justice system as a whole through the fair and just, equitable prosecution, and also community trust by holding offenders accountable in a fair and just way. But this justice does not take place alone. We have a team that works to produce this. So we have 15 assistant district attorneys, and we currently have 3 vacancies. We have 10 post-certified investigators who work here in our office, as well as 6 victim advocates, which we have tripled since I've started. So we had 2 when I became DA, now we're up to 6. So that's a very big deal for us to be able to have the also important contact with our needed victims, as well as 10 support staff members, which includes our office manager, receptionist, file clerk, investigative aide, and 3 legal assistants. Now, I did take an opportunity to go ahead and go through our successes and opportunities and challenges, because it's important to know what we all have done, what we have done in the DA's office since taking office. So I do want to highlight just a few general successes of the office. Fair and just prosecution. And I do want to point that out in that way because that's not always the case, and I'm clear about that. But our role is not merely to secure convictions, but to pursue truth and accountability in a way that upholds the rights of victims and the accused alike. And that's the work that we do every single day. By making thoughtful charging decisions, considering alternatives to incarceration when appropriate, and focusing on rehabilitation as well as punishment, we promote public safety and community trust. When prosecution is done fairly, it prevents wrongful convictions, protects civil liberties, and reinforces the community's confidence that justice is being served not just swiftly, but justly. And that's what the DA's office do every day. Now, our community outreach also includes and provides necessary education, tools, and resources to help our community. One, it gains awareness, we gain knowledge, and we take action to be safe here in Rockdale County. Our efforts have included our Domestic Violence Awareness Month outreach and programs each October, our Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month programs, where in February, I, along with my staff, go out to each of our Rockdale County high schools during each of their lunch periods and have important conversations with our students about teen dating violence awareness. So they know that their DA's office cares, and we're going to have the tools they need to be able to help themselves or a peer who may be in need. We also have our Youth Mental Health and Wellness Expo, which has provided crucial information and on-site resources to support mental and physical wellness for our youth. We've also have various youth prevention initiatives, including, thanks to our various grant funding, we are on year 3 of our YIELD program, which is our Youth Intervention, Enrichment, and Learning by Design program. Is a critical investment in the public safety and community well-being, because rather than waiting for our young people to make a mistake and enter our criminal justice system, we focus on early intervention. We reach our youth before they make a choice that leads to the courtrooms or incarceration. And programs that promote this kind of resolution, decision-making skills, digital safety, and leadership development help address root causes of criminal behavior, such as trauma, peer pressure, and lack of guidance. By engaging our schools, our families, and our community partners, we have offered positive alternatives, reduce recidivism, and help shape a productive future. We've also completed our first junior DA program with C.J. Hicks Elementary School. We've been able to go into the schools and provide informative information, help them know what this office does and how they can support this office, and to be good citizens as they move on into middle school. So we're very proud of our first inaugural junior DA program as well. Now, opportunities. We do have the opportunity we see regarding our technology. And we had the opportunity to have our grand jury come and tour the Rockdale DA's office space. And one of the things that they recommended was for us to work on technology through less paper, right, and more digital work for our office. So we do see it as an opportunity for growth moving forward. Likewise, we do see where we can renew further grants to continue our opportunities to grow and to work in innovation with prosecution. Now, our challenges. So in this criminal justice system, we are facing a true crisis as a prosecution office. And that's not just here in Rockdale County. That's not just statewide in Georgia. That is nationally, where when I began this work almost 20 years ago, working in the DA's office was considered a badge of honor. Mm-hmm. Times have changed. Okay, we are facing public narratives regarding what this work is and how we do this work fairly or equitably. And as a result, we are struggling to not just retain, but to attract employees and prosecutors into our offices. And so we have numerous retention surveys that talk about how there's a low pay with lots of stress, right? We have a high caseload that is only getting higher, unfortunately, as years continue to move on. And this is a real challenge that absolutely affects the efficiency of this office. I know that we are working through a salary compensation, a competitive survey to be able to see how we fare. So while that's not our ask this time, we are looking into that, because in order for us to be able to do this work of public safety and do it well and effectively, we have to be competitive. Moving on to our budget slide, we did, here we go here. There was a change in the operating budget of $150,000, and that's going to go into our needs, specifically regarding our investigation line item that we are asking for and seeking, okay? But I want to first address, I know there was also a change in terms of our current rent and lease for the building. We are in 3 locations in the DA's office. That's a whole other issue, right? So some of our challenges will be alleviated once we're able to move into a different space, because currently we literally are operating out of 3 separate buildings. And you could imagine what that is like, from going from the courthouse to our different offices across the across Millstead Avenue. You may see many of us walking that way because you have, right? So, but with that said, I know that the operating expense, that's $100,000, I believe, was based on the leasing of the space down on Millstead Avenue. But with that said, we did ask for an additional increase in the amount of $29,000 related to needs of our investigators, because I mentioned we have 10 post-certified law enforcement officers, and these are 10 post-certified law enforcement officers. Yeah,
I did miss that. Okay.
Yes, they work as our investigators, and their experience is crucial to us being able to gather evidence, locate witnesses, and help build strong cases for prosecution and accountability from the ground up. Because if we do not have strong cases, you know, those serious crimes that we are bringing before the court and before a jury here in Rockdale County will not prevail. And so their needs are crucial to us being able to ensure that Rockdale County is safe. And so I do want to bring up who I have with me today, my chief investigator, Michael Cobb, who can speak to those specific needs and asks that we are looking for in this upcoming budget. So, Investigator Cobb, if you would join me, please. Thank you.
I'll be brief. I do want to thank the board for giving me just a couple of minutes to talk about what we do in the, I'm going to raise this up. What we do in the investigations division at the district attorney's office. As the district attorney said, we do have 10 post-certified investigators who work in our office, plus an investigative analyst. Just for context, 10 investigators is larger than a lot of police departments in the state of Georgia. We, on the very low end, which is me, have 15 years of law enforcement experience. I'm the most junior of our 10 investigators, and our most senior has 40 years of law enforcement service in Rockdale County. He just got his 40th year this year. So we have both a breadth and a depth of experience and knowledge that we pull from that adds a lot of value to the cases that we prosecute in the DA's office. Currently, all of our investigators are either prior Rockdale County Sheriff's Office or Conyers Police Department. And through a lot of that experience, we have different specializations and have developed as subject matter experts in a lot of different things. 4 of our investigators are post-certified instructors, which includes a wide variety of topics to include firearms instruction. We have several investigators who have extensive subject matter expert knowledge on gangs, narcotics investigations, cellular forensics, family violence, and crimes against children cases. 4 of our investigators have prior supervision experience at both the police department and the sheriff's office, which gives us a very good understanding of basically law enforcement standard operating procedure. Really helps bridge that understanding gap from the police to our prosecutors and then hopefully to the jury to explain why things happened in an investigation the way that they happened. Some additional specializations. We have 3 members of our investigations team who have SWAT experience as well, and I'm going to get back to that in a minute why I'm bringing that up. The day-to-day job that we do most of the time is in our office. We're going through case files, we're reviewing evidence, we're contacting witnesses. When a police officer makes an arrest, their standard that they have to meet evidence-wise is probable cause, which is fairly low standard. But in order for us to get convictions at trial, we have to prove the case beyond reasonable doubt. That requires a lot of work in the DA's office, done by our investigators, exploiting evidence that may not have been noticed by police or may not have been available to police, developing additional means of evidence, and really making sure that we can explain these things in a way to a jury so that they understand the significance of the evidence. Most of that is done in the office. We also spend a good bit of our time in the courthouse, in the courtroom with our attorneys as these cases are going through. But we also, as a part of our investigations, need to get out in the community. We are out looking for additional evidence. We're revisiting crime scenes. We sometimes respond to crime scenes when we are called by law enforcement and go and advise them, not on their typical cases, but on their more complex cases. If they call us, we come out, we respond. We often spend time in the community trying to locate witnesses, and you may be surprised to know that they don't always want to be located. So that's actually something that we're doing a lot of right now. We've got a big case coming up here in a couple of weeks, and that is an all-hands-on-deck kind of operation. It may require all 10 of our investigators to be out in the field looking for people. We also liaise and train our law enforcement agencies. So I mentioned that we have 4 post-certified instructors. We are involved in training with the training divisions at both the police department and the sheriff's office. We provide security for our attorneys and witnesses. Sometimes our attorneys, primarily our witnesses, may not be comfortable coming to and from court for various reasons, for ones I already mentioned. People don't want to be witnesses. They don't want to be involved. They don't want to be in the limelight. Sometimes just us being present helps them be more comfortable being in the courtroom. Some ways that we contribute to public safety that a lot of folks may not think of. I already mentioned assisting with courtroom security, but we're out in the community, we're out doing our investigations. When we drive by and observe something, we're law enforcement officers, we're compelled to act. We're compelled to offer safety and maintain order. And in order for us to do that, we need the proper equipment to do so. That's not something that happens every day, but it is certainly something that comes up from time to time. Should a critical incident arise, our office is all right here. We're probably going to be the first 10 people on scene for a critical incident that occurs in Old Town Conyers because we're all right here. And that's why our ability to communicate, receive, and disseminate information is very important. Just for a couple of case examples, there was a call that came in a couple of weeks ago that we didn't know about, which I'm going to get to in a minute, but we got a phone call from Rockdale County Sheriff's Office employee because there was a man reported walking down Old Town or Center Street with a gun. Turned out to be a hoax, or a crazy person. However, that was an example of us having the need to get information quickly, and we could have probably responded to that and instilled some order fairly quickly. The primary reason for this additional budget request is that we need radios. That is our basic necessity at this point. That's the biggest basic necessity. We had radios that were compliant and functioned on the county radio network, but the network upgraded a couple of years ago, and the ones that we had just became obsolete. And so that is the most basic request that we're looking for at this point, as well as some other equipment things, tourniquets, training weapons, things that all go toward our ability to contribute to our public safety. I believe that's all that I have. Does anyone on the board have any questions for me?
I just want to make sure I have the right information. Is it only this one page?
For the district attorney's office, there should be a presentation.
No, I have
Oh,
the
you just mean for the
presentation.
numbers.
I just
Yeah.
think there might be another, I need.
Let's see.
So.
The wrong book.
12. That's all I have to.
Okay.
I only see the one page in the notebook.
It is just the one page.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right.
Thank you all.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Okay. That was the last presentation.
We'd come looking for
Right.
you. Thank you so much.
Okay. That was the last presentation.
Okay. All right. Do you have any comments?
Oh, I'm sorry. Was there another one?
I think the clerk would like to present as well.
I was requested to come after I stated that I wouldn't have any additional changes.
no one can hear you if you're back there, if you want to come up here. Yeah, are you good with that?
Sorry about that. How y'all doing? Come on, Chief. I am apologizing. I'm feeling under the weather, and I don't think it has something to do with the new building of the courthouse right now. So I don't have any medical issues other than allergies. About a week ago, I requested that I did state that I would give you my presentation on my PowerPoint because I didn't ask for any changes. But I felt like in the long run, it's very justice that I speak to the public as well before you all, because y'all are now my new commissioners and so forth. So I would give you the courtesy to run real quick. I promise to get you out for lunch, but the stakeholders need to see who I am and that I represent the Rockdale County Clerk of Superior Court. Would you do me the honors to let me get this PowerPoint real quick? And explain a little bit about the budget.
I'd be glad to. And I want you to know, we all want to work in collaboration.
Yes,
so,
I did. And thank you for the email, because that really kind of like hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
We're all on the same team, so I'm glad that you did come today.
And
so,
Commissioner, Chair Commissioner, thank you for the email, because it is that we knew in a new different capacity.
That's right.
Than our outside long-term 25 years, right?
Yes, yes.
So I'll just start as quickly as possible. Thank you all so much for being right on the spot. So if I sound short of breath, no, I'm not passing out no CPR. It's just this.
I'm sure Miss Malloy can take over. And in fact, if you want, whatever is better for you.
Yeah, come on, Chief, stop being shy. Thank you. Thank you all so much. As I am Janice Morris, and I am your Rockdale County Superior Clerk of Court. It is an honor, a pleasure to serve you as your Clerk of Court. My job is very passionate and dedicated to the citizens of Rockdale as I serve you in a public servant and as your elected official. Next slide, please. Oh, you told me one time I was supposed to say next.
Right. Well, no, the clicker
So it's a
is up on the
clicker.
podium. Yeah.
Press down.
Yeah.
See, this is technology right here.
Right.
Oh, you get the big job. How you do that? I would like to introduce you all without further ado, my Chief Deputy, Hillary Malloy, who also been a employee a long time of Rockdale for 25 years.
Yes.
Would you do an honor to give her applause, because without her, we are not a a team. She has a wealth of knowledge, and I appreciate and value each and one of my staff, as well as my Chief
Have you
Deputy.
always worked in the same, in the Clerk of Courts the whole time? Wow, congratulations.
Started in 2000.
Okay, excellent. Very good, thank you.
So you keep good value, don't you? Okay, as you see, the Clerk of Court mission and values is the vision of Rockdale County as the Clerk of Superior Court. It is to provide and be responsible of the fair service of the diversity of the community, and this community by the team is dedicated to each employee, and we stand on approachable, accessible, and accountable to the state of Rockdale County. Our mission statement has always have been here from the years I have adapted to be a part of the team, is Rockdale County Clerk of Superior Court, the mission to serve all citizens of Rockdale County efficient, effective, and also continue to be a stellar in customer service to our public. And as while we maintain the most important thing, we are to preserve the court records, foster the public trust. Within those court records is to provide guidance and process the traditional courts, within the traditional courts. I'm going to have my Chief Deputy step up, and she's going to continue to talk about the challenges and opportunity, so I don't get out of breath real quick. Go ahead. Thank you.
So the successes for our office have been, we've implemented credit card machines for cashless options in our real estate department. We have a well-attended law library speaker series on relevant legal topics. We completed hybrid online and in-person notary training for over 300 citizens. Our office installed additional digital signage for real estate information, And we oversaw and handled a sharp rise in property tax appeals to the Board of Equalization. Some of the opportunities that we have is to update our BOE software to work in tandem with the Board of Assessors Office for appeals. We are looking into AI software to assist with the e-file caseload that we have in our civil division, and to restore and protect historical deeds and military discharge books in our real estate division. Some of the challenges that we have in the Clerk of Court's office are being able to manage and process the rise in cases filed within the Rockdale County judicial system is one of the challenges we face as the county grows and the court system progresses. More cases mean increased workloads and more resources utilized. Another challenge is to improve our standing position with GCIC for GCIC disposition submissions from second place to first place. And an additional challenge is to continue to provide stellar service to the citizens in the midst of the current construction that is going on, and the personnel retention due to Rockdale County's pay scale.
And just the challenges, thank you, Chief. The challenges, and I'm going to state that, the uptick in all the caseloads that has been going on within the last 4 years. But also having our fourth judge and now having our full staff of judges, they are coming with the wildest and the speed of making sure we meet these numbers and case numbers within the law requires for us to have the turnaround time. So I am honored to be on that board with the new judges, such as Judge McCray, new night court, and as well as the veteran court. So with that, with new vision, has come with us new challenges, and as we have quality people to meet those standards. And that's what you're talking about. But I'm gonna go back to the GCIC, Georgia Central Investigation Center. We are second in the state of Georgia out of 159 clerks. That is an honor, because as we get the records, we're gonna clear those records and get everything in the system according to the state law, do GBI and GCIC. Thank you. So I'm honored to say that. I'm very proud of my team.
So you're working to be number one.
That's the goal. I've been trying for 4 years, but I'm almost there, yeah. But the number one person only has 3,000 citizens in their community. So I'm just let that be for the record. That's a check fact. They only have 3,000 citizens, okay? But my goal for 2026, completion of Rockdale County Courthouse. It's been a long time journey. I have been here for 25 years, and I might get a little attached emotional on that. I've been watching this dream, and the dream is finally coming true. I am pleased to see what's going on. Operation budget. As you see, the total operation budget from last year to this year did not change. I'm not asking for anything else additional of that proposed budget for 2026 because we have to grow with new room, places to put people, and training facilities for people to go as we hire state mandated clerk of Superior Court, and there are titled Deputy Superior and State Clerks of Courts. The total personnel budget and benefits, we leave that into the hands of talent management or HR. Oh, go back. Let me question that. That is not on my page, but total personnel budget, thank you, has been presented in $1,902.33 because of 2025. Because of the uptick, as well as we process for the Board of Equalization, we have asked for two new staffs to come on board within 4 years. Because of Rockdale County, we need another additional administrator, office administrator for that, as well as the BOE clerk. Next slide.
How often does the BOE meet?
The BOE meets 3 times a week. And Hillary could share more detail about that. 3 times a week in, 6 months?
So our season normally runs from, let's see, it started in June this year through the end of the year into the next year, just depending on the number of appeals. Since last year, since 2 years ago, it's like tripled in the number of appeals. And so our board members, we hold hearings 3 days every week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
And
each week.
Just to expound on that, Madam Chair, and I know this is very informative for the citizen. From the 2022, we was doing appeals of 8,000 citizens of their property taxes. We are now over 3,000 appeals. So those days may also increase, or the hours may increase. And we yield to make sure we accommodate the citizens of Rockdale County as the administrator of the Board of Equalization. So I do have that fact for you, and I'm going to share that with you all on the sidebar of the increase, okay? As you see, the R chart is there. I do my best to fulfill a seat without having a seat stand vacant. Rather, I go from temp to perm or transfer within the departments. I express that every position must qualify. They must come in with the responsibility of what the clerk office does. This is not a play position. It's a position that is required by the state of Georgia that we mandate every clerk to be qualified for these positions. So, thank you. Chief, you just a clicking. Thank you. All right. They look the same. Okay, so the 2 positions that I did actually request in 2026 is the Board of Equalization Administrator Clerk, because that job has taken more time and additional time to be able to meet the standards for the turnaround time by the state of Georgia from the time a person filed their appeal to the time it comes from the Board Assessor's office, come back to me, go to court, then prepare for court, just in case. But as of this Saturday, I will be talking to the stakeholders how this process worked. But for many years, there's only been 1 administrative clerk for that position. It needs 2 people because we have to make sure we maintain the quadruple of all the all the people appealing. The deputy clerk position will be the deputy clerk position that will flow within the new positions from the day clerk to the night clerk, because now we have an attendant for a new night court is being presented as we continue to do the mock training in through the night court. I'm still waiting on the process with Judge McCray about the night court, so we need that new clerk for that position as well. As well, we have an uptick in cases that's coming through the e-file. The state of Georgia states that you have to mandate file your claims or any cases you want to. Now it's going through a system, no longer paper. You have to file it in. So the queues are getting high. Just consider yourself online at Amazon, because everything you have to do is go through a system now, and it's mandated. Let's see here. And that was the additional increase. We requested the 2 positions, and that was it. And that total amount came up to, what is it? I can see it. $94,282.03. Okay. Next. That is the job description. So if it's transparent, the job description is right there. That is required. The second position is transparency for the job description for Deputy Clerk 1. As we get to the 5-year capital improvement plan, the request that I asked of is for 2026 that we continue to take technology to the highest level. Because if we fail in the system that we provide to make it efficient, accurate, to process, we're doing injustice to our community. So I still challenge to continue our technology programs, whether there's an increase in payment, whether there's an increase that have been passed down to us for whatever reason, that changes or charges has been increased, and as well as anything we need to do improve some of the technology before we get to the new courthouse standards, okay? So I know often you all have walked into the courthouse and saw a live digital board that looks like you're going through the airport and you're looking for your room number, your gate. Those kind of boards need to be placed so people don't go lost all over the entire courthouse. So I managed to get one of the digital boards up there, and that has been very efficient because people now know what room number, and they don't have to keep stopping in our office.
Sure.
I love them to stop, but hey, I got to e-file.
Yes.
But last but least, thank you all. Thank you as an effort of what we are continuing to do for Rockdale County citizens. I stand unapproachable, accessible, and accountable. In that, keep in mind, if I don't need it, I don't ask for it. Needs and wants are two different things for me. I challenge to ask only for those 2 in the 4 years I have taken as being a clerk, whatever we can need to meet the needs of our community. I would like to present 2 other last factor of visitation. I do a lot of analytic. I like to do a lot of data. Just want to tell you, since 2023, the visitation, you often think, how many people come in the courthouse? Where they go? What they do? Who they go to? Why? Again, we met 31,000 citizens enter into the courthouse and did business within the clerk of court office. That's just alone in 2023. I have facts and I keep standards. So if we're gonna grow buildings, we're gonna grow who we serving and who impacting us. Chair, you're gonna be impressed. Commissioner, within 2024, we managed to meet the citizens at 35,536 residents impacted and did service in the business of the clerk of court office in 2025. I thank you. I thank you for everything you could do, what you can do, but we must continue to serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll open the opportunity for any citizen comments. Any citizen comments? All right.
Thank you.
I believe that concludes for today.
It does. Any board comments?
Did I get you out for lunch?
Oh, I have an appointment. Okay. But thank you very much. All right. That concludes the meeting today, and that's the last of our budget hearings.
Scheduled for later in October. Then you will see the first read of the budget ordinance and then the second read and adoption of the budget.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Thank you, and have a nice day.